It's the Hair Kitchen, baby, and you know what it means. G. Marie gon' come around. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, let's start the show.
Hey hair care hotties, it's your girl G. Marie, and in today's episode I will be demonstrating a relaxer retouch. So the main things we want to make sure we're doing during this relaxer retouch is making sure you have a thorough consultation, making sure that you apply the protective base to the entire head, and that you follow manufacturer's instructions and keep your client safe. So it doesn't matter what relaxer line you choose, that is your professional choice, but what you want to make sure is that you're not omitting any steps. So for example, the relaxer of my choice is Affirm's Fiber Guard. It's the top of the line of Affirm's relaxer systems, and it is a 5-step process. The first step is the gentle assurance, which is the protective base that you apply throughout the entire head. Then you add the Protecto or the Protecto, which you apply to the previously relaxed ends so that you do not overprocess during the rinsing part of the relaxer. Then there's your relaxer cream, whether it's mild, regular, normal, or super extra strength. Depends on what your line says. Then you, after you apply your relaxer and you work it through, you rinse and you have what's called an APT, an after perm treatment. In the Fiber Guard line, the name is Sustenance. You put that on, focusing and concentrating on the relaxed area. And then once that sits on, follow manufacturer's instructions. I think it says 5 minutes on the bottle, but I leave mine on a little longer because the goal with this step is to bring the pH down of the relaxer system back to normal, because relaxers take the pH of hair way up into the 14s and 16s, and the normal pH is 4.5 to 5.5. Excuse me. And after the sustenance sits on, you thoroughly rinse. I cannot stress rinsing enough after every step. You want to rinse that relaxer out until the water runs clear. If your water is still cloudy in any capacity, bubbling up, you are not done rinsing. Same with the sustenance. You want to thoroughly rinse that before you move into the normalizing in Affirm system, neutralizing in other systems, which is the shampoo that continues to bring the pH down to a 4.5, 5.5. So making sure you're following the manufacturer's instructions, that's pretty much it. And then if you want to add an additional step, which I have because I incorporate Olaplex in my relaxer now, which maintains the integrity of the bonds that get broken during the chemical service. So using Olaplex helps you to have that extra insurance policy on top of all of the steps of the relaxer. After you're completely finished with the rinsing, shampooing, neutralizing, APT treatments, then you can add the final step of the Olaplex, which is the number 2, onto the hair, leave it on for 10 minutes, rinse and style as desired. So those are the steps that you must follow if you're using Affirm, but make sure you're following the manufacturer's instructions on whatever brand you're using. So the first step, as you can see, my client has long hair past her shoulders, and the first step is sectioning into 4 sections. Now I'm not sure if you all still section. Some people feel like it's too beauty school, it's too beginner, but it is very professional to section your client in 4 sections, so never feel bad about that. And once you section into 4 sections, why we start in the back right quadrant of the hair is so that if the client starts feeling any sensitivity or irritation during the service, you can stop with the back 2 sections done, thoroughly rinse, towel blot, and proceed to finish the front sections of the hair with the relaxer retouch. If you start in the front, you run the risk of the client burning in the front, and then when you rinse, you haven't gotten to the back yet. Now you've pretty much ruined the opportunity of being able to complete the service. So starting in the back with your chemical services is the best way to achieve and be successful, especially in the event that your client gets some irritation. As you can see, we're applying our protective base. And I start in the back right section, which is exactly where I'm going to start when I apply my relaxer. She has a significant amount of new growth, which is a good thing. You want to make sure your client isn't coming in too soon in between relaxers to not have enough new growth, and then you run the risk of overlapping, causing the hair to be over processed, which in turn can cause breakage. So a lot of people feel like, oh, relaxers are too much, I can't get a relaxer. You can very much get a relaxer and determine the texture that you want. And you'll see as we go through this process, her hair is still, when it's wet, she still has a natural wave in her hair. We have not relaxed her hair to the point of taking out all her natural curl. That wouldn't be good for her. The amount of frequency that she likes to have her hair relaxed doesn't warrant her having bone straight hair for the finish, because she's going to blow dry it and she's going to flat iron it. So adding those 2 steps of heat do not require hair to be bone straight. Now, maybe if she was strictly a wet set client and she wanted to put rollers in and go under the dryer, then we might talk about, okay, we can relax your hair a little straighter because you don't use additional heat. But if you have a client that's using heat, you might want to just pull back on how straight you get their hair, especially a client who's wearing her hair as long as the client here. And I'll just let you in, she and I did have a conversation about wanting to go straighter and thinking about it, but I shared with her my professional concerns and we decided to continue on using a mild relaxer. So as you can see now, I've finished applying the protective base and I'm applying the Protecto to the ends of her hair. So after I finish, I tend to rub whatever excess product is on my hands, all over my hands, and then put my gloves on. You definitely want to use protective gloves along with the protective base and the Protecto before you get started with your relaxer. Now, when I first start, I outline my section. And that's just so that when I'm going through and doing my subsections, that I'm sure that I've already gotten the outside sections of each section covered with relaxer. And if you noticed the amount of new growth she had, that's where I'm applying the relaxer. And I'm taking pretty thin sections so that the relaxer gets through. Unlike color, relaxer, you want to get it close to the scalp, but you don't want to apply it directly to the scalp. I know that I've seen some professionals that do that. That's not my professional choice. I like to get it close to the scalp because when I go back to work it through and cross-check, I'm going to be using the back of the comb. You can use the finger method. It's up to you, but that's going to mash the relaxer through and get it on each section. And remember, I'm not going for a bone straight relaxer. We're basically relaxing her hair for manageability. You have to decide, you and your client, what works best. Key case in point, the straighter my clients like to go, the more often they need to come in for treatments, and they also are required to have a treatment after any chemical service before their next chemical service. So you want to make sure you're not having your clients come in back to back to back and the only time they come in is for a chemical service. You want to make sure you're maintaining their hair by doing treatments in between every chemical service. And in this part of the scene, you can see, I'm on the front left side, you can see how I dip my brush into the bowl and I wipe off the excess, just keeping the relaxer mainly on the tip of my brush, so that when I go to apply it to the client's new growth, I don't have relaxer getting everywhere, so that I make sure I have control over the chemical substance that's on my brush. So you can kind of see that's what's going on. So now the relaxer is thoroughly applied to all 4 sections. I come back and I start working it through in the back left section, and then I'm cross-checking. So I am running my comb through the section the opposite direction of the way that I applied it, so that I can see, are there any holidays? Is there anywhere that I need to reapply? And you do see me come back in with my brush and dip some more relaxer and apply it if I feel like that area doesn't have enough coverage. So as you can see, we finished our smoothing part of the relaxer service. The client didn't experience any irritation. She was thoroughly based, and then we protected her ends. And now we're starting the rinsing process. I'm getting the water temperature right. We've laid her back in the bowl. As I go through this process, you're gonna see me do one of the number one things that I think is the most important thing that you should do after you've rinsed your relaxer, and that's to change the towel. Because the relaxer, when you're rinsing it and residue gets on the towel, and if you don't put a towel on top, that's fine, you still want to raise your client up and wipe the neck of the bowl out, because the relaxer residue can cause damage. After you put the after perm treatment on the client's hair before the normalizing or neutralizing shampoo, you don't want to put that on, rinse that off, and lay them back into a bowl or on a towel that has relaxer residue. I talk about that in another video where you can cause damage if the client's nape area doesn't grow well. You might want to see if that's part of the problem, that she is getting laid back. If you have shampoo assistants, you want to make sure they understand that when they rinse the client before they put their after perm treatment, raise the client, wipe the neck of the bowl, then lay them back and proceed to the next step. I think that you'll have success with helping their hair nape area to grow out. I cannot stress enough to you the rinsing process. This client has a lot of hair, and if we are seeing anything other than clear water, we are not done. You guys don't see it because we edited it out, but this rinse took about 13 minutes total because I wasn't satisfied until I saw all of the water run clear. And then proceed to the next step, which is sustenance for a firm, but it's an after perm treatment, which just means we're going to help bring the pH down. And now I show you where the residue is on the towel. I raise the client. I show you, I take the towel off, I wipe the neck of the bowl out, and I give her a clean towel. Welcome to the Hair Kitchen. Let G. Marie take care of your hair. Visit us on Style Seat for appointments or call 443-490-5777 and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. There's something for everyone in the Hair Kitchen. So as you can see in this part of the video, I've already added shampoo and I was getting my lather going in the scalp area, and I didn't like how the ends felt. They didn't have enough shampoo, normalizing shampoo, and I added a little more. And that's perfectly fine because you want to make sure you're bringing the pH down. And now I'm starting the rinsing process of the first shampoo. And she's going to have 2 shampoos. And this shampoo probably took me about 10 minutes. So it does take time. You didn't see the full shampoo, but it wasn't as quick because you know it's TV, so we had to edit some out to cut down on the time, but it was a definitely longer amount of time spent shampooing. So she's back in the chair, she's out of the bowl, and I'm putting the products in her hair that I need to blow dry. And we're using some of the Olaplex serum today, number 9. And as you can see, I did have a paddle brush and I moved to a wet brush because it was managing the brushing out a lot better. As you can see, I have added a comb attachment. I am blow drying her hair with a comb attachment. I do brush blow dry, I paddle brush blow dry, I round brush blow dry, I air brush and finger comb blow dry. It just depends on what the hair needs and the finish that we're trying to go for. Because she doesn't get a flat iron in the salon, I use the comb attachment to get her hair as straight as possible without consuming a lot of time with a round brush or a paddle brush. The comb attachment for this client who's natural is a lot easier. Now you can see that we flipped the cape. We have it on her. She's standing up because I'm showing her we've been growing her hair out for probably about 1.5 years, and she had a couple of places that we were working on, and I'm showing her in the mirror so she can see with the white background what's going on and how far in she wants to cut it. And she wants to cut off as much damage as possible and not have a see-through bottom. She wants it full all the way to the bottom. Your hair will have wear and tear in places when you have long hair because it rubs your shoulders that you want to just make sure you're paying attention to them and trimming them accordingly so that the client doesn't wind up with holes in their hair and do damage to their hair that they don't even realize. For example, this particular client liked to pull her hair from one side and then the other, split over both shoulders through the middle, therefore creating a V in the middle of breakage from just doing that on a regular basis. So sometimes you can be doing damage to your hair and you don't even realize it. I talk about that in another video as well. So I hope watching today gave the stylists some insights on things they can do to improve their relaxer service. And for the client, if you were relaxing and you stopped relaxing, you couldn't figure out why your hair was not really giving you or responding the way you wanted it to, you were experiencing some sort of damage and you want to relax but you're just not sure, you can definitely reach out to me. I would love to answer your questions. If you're considering going back into a relaxer, let's talk about what that journey could look like for you. Thanks again.
It's the Hair Kytchen, baby, and you know what it means. G. Marie gon' come around. She gon' really lay it down. She gon' tell y'all all about all the things she knows about beauty in this industry. Everything you need to see. Hair color and history, business opportunities. So you better listen up real good. The Hair Kytchen is in your hood. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, let's start the show.